Hello dear friends, welcome to ePathshala. I am Dr. Vishal Jadhav, Associate Professor in Sociology at Tilak Maharashtra Vidya-mitra. Today we are going to look at a module in political sociology called Outlining the Nature and Scope of State-Society Relationship. What is political sociology? Where did it originate? Who are the key thinkers? Is what this module is going to talk about. It is going to set the precedence for the other 34 modules that are going to come by. So the first module is going to lay out the theory and the methodology of political sociology. It will include two sections. The first section will have 9 themes, and these themes will be elaborated in this module, and it will also discuss what is the kind of methodology that we'll need to be using to understand political sociology in the Indian context. Section 1, Course Structure. The 35 modules in this course are distributed amongst 9 themes that comprise this entire course. Theme 1 looks at the discipline and considers what are some of the main concerns of political sociology by engaging with a range of important concerns such as state, class, status, ideology and power. Each of these 5 concerns are dealt with a view to elaborating how these concepts feature both a modern and pre-modern engagement in the context of society, state relationship within political sociology. Clearly, what is being suggested here is that given the different histories and cultures, the development of the discipline has followed very different trajectories both in the West and in India. In this regard, the theme also looks at the historical development of political sociology, both in the European context as well as in the Indian context. In both these engagements, an effort is made to draw out the important theoretical debates and concepts that are central to an understanding of political sociology in the way that it has developed. Thus, while European society sought to construct a society-state relationship against the backdrop of the transformation from feudalism to capitalism, such transformations appeared to be largely patchy and incomplete in the Indian context. In exploring the category of the social, in the Indian context, political sociology has had to engage with caste society. In its operations, be they structural, ideological, or experiential, caste has configured the discourse of power in a uniquely different way from that of the European counterparts. The subsequent 3 themes from theme 2 onwards are basically engaged with the theoretical discussion of the main perspectives that have been developed within political sociology. Theme 2 begins with a Marxist approach and considers how different Marxist scholars have engaged with the category of the social in understanding the political. In doing so, an attempt is made to discuss some important concepts within political sociology that have deep roots in Marxist social thought. These include ruling class, state power, ideology and class struggle. Following this, the theme looks at several important Marxist scholars with a view to highlighting the role of some important concepts that have been developed by Marxist thinkers. Thus, for example, there is a detailed consideration of Gramsci's social and political thought with a focus on his idea of intervention, hegemony and domination. Similarly, there is an engagement with Louis Althusser and his contribution to the understanding of the ideological state apparatus. Likewise, we consider 3 important Marxist thinkers, namely Ralph Miliband, Nikos Poulantzas and Ernesto Laclau, in the way that they have conceptualized the capitalist state. Finally, we also look at Habermas and the way he has conceptualized the public sphere in modern bourgeoisie society. Within these various discussions, we have also sought to focus attention on an ongoing debate in Marxist social thought which concerns civil society, political society, and the reproduction of class structure. A second theoretical tradition that is dealt with as theme 3 in this course is the Weberian approach to political sociology. Weber's influence on the development of political sociology has been enormous. Not only did he provide the theoretical legitimation for the study of power from the standpoint of the social, he also made power a core concern of his sociological explorations. In this connection, we look at some of the basic concepts of political sociology developed by Weber, which include the concept of domination, legitimation, authority, and bureaucracy. In theme 4, we look at the approaches developed by Michel Foucault on his understanding of power and how power operates with the modern political context. We look at how Foucault deals with knowledge-power relationship and his concept of biopower. Equally, we also look at how Foucault develops an understanding of the modern state in terms of categories like discipline, surveillance, and governability. Theme 5 looks at the concept of nation, nationalism, and citizenship, which are central to the development and understanding of the state of the society-state relationship in modern world. With regard to the concept of nation and nationalism, we look at two competing contemporary perspectives on these subjects in the writings of Ernest Gellner and Benedict Anderson. Both these scholars have attempted to conceptualize nation and nationalism by studying the historical emergence of these categories in different parts of the world, especially with the experience of Western societies. Equally, we consider the Indian context of this discussion by looking at Partha Chatterjee and his discussion on derivative nationalism. Here again, we show how a different conception of the social opens up a completely different discussion of nation and nationalism with its own specific set of concerns. In looking at the concept of citizenship, we consider two thinkers, namely T.H. Marshall with his explanation on 3 kinds of citizenship. We also look at Yuval Davis on the place of gender and its relationship with citizenship. Theme 6 looks at the phenomena of colonialism and how it restructured traditional Indian society. Such an exercise is done essentially with a view of elaborating on the various constituent components that colonialism put in motion, leading to the construction of the modern Indian state. Of singular importance here is the construction of the colonial episteme and how this gave expression to ethnography and the representation of the colonial state. On the other hand, we also look at how from within colonial society there emerges the social reform movement of the 19th century with a view to the development of a unified region called Hinduism. Similarly, we also consider how the colonial context made possible the rise of the Shudra and Ati-Shudra caste who had hitherto remained oppressed and exploited within traditional Indian society. Finally, in attempting to theorize this phenomenon of colonialism in the Indian context, we look at how Ranajit Guha has attempted to explain colonialism as domination without hegemony. Similarly, we also look at how Partha Chatterjee discusses the growth of nationalism in the Indian context in his work, The Nation and Its Fragments. Theme 7 deals with democracy and the Indian state. Here the concern is basically with looking at the society-state relationship in the period after India's independence. The focus is to generally understand the evolution of democracy in modern Indian society. Theme 8 looks at the contested relationship between society and the state in modern India. The emergence of an independent Indian state was from the very outset marred with the issue of partition, communalism, and communal riots. Indian society has been part of an ongoing engagement with these concerns, bringing to the fore the phenomena of majoritarian and minority politics in the country. Similarly, modern Indian society has been plagued with issues of casteism that has divided the polity along the lines of caste hierarchies, calling into question the entire nature of electoral politics in the country. Further, within such a scenario, we also look at the emergence of identity politics and how this has framed a new discourse of insiders and outsiders within various contexts that mark out the ideologies of inclusion and exclusion that have now come to characterize the modern Indian polity. Finally, continuing with this consideration of the state-society contestation, we looked at how the emergence of women in Indian politics have not only foregrounded the concern of violence against women, but also highlighted the role of feminism and its contribution to Indian politics. Theme 9 deals with the contemporary concerns that have a bearing on the society-state relationship within political sociology in the Indian context. Against the backdrop of a growing integration of the nations of the world, we look at how the global and the local begin to shape a new political in the context of modern Indian politics. Section 2, Methodology. In seeking to develop a coherent understanding of the theories, issues, concerns that constitute the discipline of political sociology, we have mainly been motivated in the direction of developing a critical and historical understanding of the phenomena under consideration. No doubt, a growing body of theoretical work in this field has made possible many relevant and important interpretations of the political. To that extent, it is possible to say that in its diverse exploration of the political, the course has paid much less attention to the behavioral and functional. Instead, the course pursues an historical approach which engages with the continuities and discontinuities in the making of the social in the context of the society-state relationship. In the Indian context, it is important to consider how such transformations have occurred in the domain of the social as it is developed from a pre-modern colonial context to that of a modern democratic nation-state. Investing the social with a sense of history not only permits a grounding of the categories of political sociology, equally, history draws our attention to the diverse conditions in which the social comes to give expression to the political. In this course, we look at how the social in the Indian context influences and manipulates the functioning of the political. Enough scholarship on this subject, Bete, Gupta, Frankel and Rao have shown that religion, caste and region are important determinants that define the manner in which the social is to engage within any given situation. Modernization scholars such as Bete and Seth have been keen to point out that with the event of modernity, both caste and religion would have much less of a defining role in determining the functioning of the social. Yet others such as Gupta, Kohli have argued that caste and religion in themselves undergo change, adapting to the requirements of modernity, thereby giving the impression that these categories have reinvented themselves. If modernity, as Kaviraj observes, wears itself thinly on the social in the Indian context, others like Singer have emphasized the compartmentalization of the self, pointing to the problematic ways in which the social receives and reciprocates in its engagement with modernity. Not surprisingly, Shah and others have highlighted the instrumentalist nature of this caste in Indian politics. Here, caste is made out as if it were an interest group functioning with specific agendas and concerns within the framework of electoral politics. While political sociology may accept such instrumentalist formulations of caste in Indian politics, it is equally interested in understanding how caste embeds itself in modern social life, becoming the basis of a diverse range of relationships in spheres of both civil society and the state. Beyond the instrumentalism, here caste relations foreground sentiments of domination, exclusion and discrimination, Jafalot and Das. It is kind of universe of social relations as is prevalent in modern Indian society that is often at the heart of the tensions and contradictions that define the political in modern Indian society. Further, the advent of democracy in post-independence Indian society has heralded a process of social transformation combined with contestations that have deeply impacted the functioning of the political, often threatening the very stability of the very democratic system. The assertive nature of lower caste politics combined with its demographic attributes has created a social which, while being deeply embedded in the discourse of caste, continues to influence the working of the political in the area of electoral politics. From the vantage point of the political sociology, what such a situation foregrounds is the very difficult and nuanced manner in which categories hitherto invested with elements of consensus are now conceived and represented in domains of conflict and contestations. It is these experiences which must now confront competing discourses of the political that are constantly resisting and confronting traditional modes of authority and legitimacy. Across the non-Western world, political sociology must engage with revised and reworked notions of the political in society, faced with the large-scale social transformation, not only from the pre-modern to the modern, but also from the colonial to the post-colonial, and from peasant-based customary societies to modern urban industrial nation states. While it is true that these mega processes of structural transformations have deeply impacted the social in the way that it is organized and represented in these non-Western societies, it is equally true that from within the sites of these social transformations, the social has rarely been constituted as a unified, homogeneous category. On the contrary, what modernity and democracy have construed in the name of the social is the emergence of diverse social formations who are often locked in profound contestations with each other, rendering impossible any attempt to conceive of the social and the political existing in a harmonious relationship with each other. To return back to the issue of methodological coherence outlined in the beginning of this section, it is worth noting that any attempt in representing political sociology in terms of the society-state relationship would necessarily have to contend with the issues of historical and cultural specificity. In this regard, political sociology and the discourse of the political in the Indian context was, in the decades following independence, represented by a range of social scientists who argued that the engagement with modernity would lead to dissolution of the social in its traditional attire over a period of time. The general thesis appeared to be that caste was reinventing itself, thereby becoming more adaptive to the modern political system. Yet, accompanying this interpretation of the political was the related idea that foregrounded the assertive role of the lower caste as they began staking their rights to be part of the democratic process. The combination of these two sets of ideas gave rise to a construction of the political which in the electoral arena became the instrumentalist quest for power, leading to the formation of a variety of caste alliances whose electoral numbers constituted the basis of their stake for power. On the other hand, the political came to represent an ever-increasing spread of caste violence across the length and breadth of Indian society. While Dalits and low castes were the main targets of this violence unleashed by the dominant caste in different parts of the country, it is also important to highlight the fact that in a singular way, lower caste assertion in the democratic sphere had destabilized, if not severely eroded, the power of the upper caste in modern Indian state. It is this construction of the political characterized by the default lines of casteism and caste conflicts that continues to frame the discourse of the political even in contemporary period. A second dimension in the framing of the political has to do with the construction of communal politics from the onset of independence. Both minority and majority communalisms have invested the political with sentiments of exclusion and hatred, thereby threatening the social fabric of society at large. In the decades following independence, majoritarianism has grown in both strength and numbers to dominate the discourse of the political in both spheres of state and society. What has persistently deprived majoritarianism from its quest for absolute power and domination over Indian society has been the consistent critique from the lower caste, who are convinced that such a construction of the political is in effect a well-disguised strategy of the upper caste to reinstate Brahminical rule. A third dimension of the political that becomes important for political sociology in the Indian context is the manner in which the political comes to be critiqued by the marginalized and weaker sections of Indian society. For these sections, the political is deeply embedded in the structures of inequality that continue to perpetuate upper class domination and control of Indian society. While the development path has often been used by the ruling class to offset growing concerns over inequality, exploitation and oppression, development as a strategy of growth has continued to prove beneficial for those with the resources and capacities to engage with it. For the weaker sections, it continues to be a strategy of confronting the political, demanding from it equality, justice and accountability. Framed within the context of caste assertion and caste violence, majoritarianism and communalism, structural inequality and exploitation, the political continues to become the bearer of a diverse range of conflicts and contradiction emanating from the above context. The challenge for political sociology in the Indian context lies in its ability to highlight the nuanced way in which the concerns of caste, politics and inequality intersect one another in elaborating the dynamics of the political. To conclude, we have seen how political sociology emerged from the Marxist, from the Weberian kind of theorization, and from it moved into the structuralist and the post-structuralist understandings of society and state relations. Primarily, political sociology, therefore, deals with how the social imposes itself on the political. Thank you.